So hi all, good evening. So today in this video, we'll be having a quick learning on the topic Docker. So without wasting any time, let's go inside the video. So I'll be having some minute errors inside it because it's taken a single shot. So kindly adjust. So I'm not going to waste any time by telling what is Docker in a technical manner. Let me explain it in a simplest way. So assume a food buffet. If you take a food buffet, there will be a lot of dishes, right? But if you categorize it, it will be three categories mostly: starter, main course, and dessert. So each food will be having its own set of ingredients, right? Here, that is like starter will have its own ingredients, similar like main course and dessert. So I could suggest that instead of cooking all this in a common environment, like common kitchen, I can cook it under separate mini kitchens, which will have a major advantages like cooking for one set of dishes will not affect the other, so that the process will be a quick, faster, and it will be little bit messy also. I mean, it will not be a bit messy also. So these are the advantages of having a mini kitchen. The similar way, if you take a production project, there will be a lot of applications running inside it. So each application will be having its own set of dependencies. So instead of building everything in a same environment, if you build it under individual environments, similar like a mini kitchen. So here the individual environments, what I try to mean is containers. So if you try to build each and every applications in a containers, the advantages is right. Each application runs consistently across different environments, whether it may be your development, testing, or production server. So that is what Docker actually provides us. It actually allows you to package your applications with all of their dependencies in a standardized unit, which we are calling as the container, and making it easy to deploy and run them anywhere with minimal setup. So it is actually a bit faster and also lightweight. So let's directly dive into how to use this Docker. So here you can actually install a Docker either in Windows or in Linux environment. So that could be done if you refer to this installation setup URL, I mean pages, which I'll keep it in the description. So it is just actually it's like straightforward. You can just follow the instructions and you can install it. So I'm not going to waste any time by installing it again. But I could suggest you one more easier way to do that. If you think that you are working in a customer the laptop, or if you are a working professional and you can't use your laptop, so under that case, you need not actually install anything. I can suggest you this Docker playground where you can actually directly test all the things you want to do with related to Docker. This is actually a virtual playground where it works like you are working with some VM server. So I'll share this link also in the description so that we can use it. But I'm going to directly use this setup for today's tutorial. Okay, so once you install Docker, you can actually test whether your Docker is running by just running the hello world image. Docker container run hello world. So if your image is not there, it will first pull it and then it will run it actually. So it's this image is actually just for a confirmation that your Docker has been installed perfectly. So since it is installed well, we can directly move the next thing inside it. So here I'm saying something called image, right? Obviously, Docker image is not actually anything special and all. It's just like a blueprint that will contain all the necessary files, libraries, and dependencies which is needed to create a Docker container. So there are different images available actually in Docker Hub, which we'll be seeing it in the upcoming steps. So now what we're gonna do is like as an initial step, we will be actually building a Docker image, and then we will be running it as a container using Docker file. So let's directly start with that. So I have already created a folder called Docker. So since this is our first Docker file, I'm going to create one more folder indicating its first image. So inside that, I will create my Docker file. So vi Docker file, the D should be capital. Okay, so here we'll take a Python image, and then we will also add some command inside it, like hello Python from Ravi, to indicate that the Docker file has run. So to pull some image, we will use the keyword from. From Python is the image name, colon. Then you can mention the version inside it. I will take the latest version. Even if you don't mention the version here, it will take the latest version only. Or if you want to mention a specific version, you can actually mention, you can go to the Docker Hub and you can actually check on with the version. Maybe we can just check it out. Python Docker Hub. Docker image. The official Docker image is here. So you can see there will be a lot of versions here. It will be 3.13, so and so like this. So you can actually, based on your preference, you can pull it. But for time being, I'll pull the latest version here. Then we're gonna run a command along with that. So for running any commands during the runtime after we build the image, we will be taking the keyword. The command is used to mention the steps. So what we're gonna do is like we're gonna do a echo statement. So what we're gonna print hello, sorry, hello Python from Ravi. Sorry, my laptop is a bit messy over here. Python from Ravi. Okay, so I think that's enough for now. So we will just build it. Okay, so let's check if the Docker file is okay. By mistake, I created it outside. Okay, let me just move it inside. Okay, now let's move to the first image. Okay, so the command to build the Docker image is like Docker build. And if your image is inside the folder wherever you are, just put a dot, or else you can mention the path, which we will see in the upcoming topics. And then we need one specific element tag to give the name of this container. Tag name, and we can give my first image. And if you want colon, if you want, you can mention some version here. I'll just give it as 1, or else it will consider it as latest. Okay. Okay, now our image is built. So let's run it. Docker run my first image colon 1. Yeah, you could see that the echo statement has also been provided. So we have successfully created our first Docker image and we have ran it using the Docker file. Now let's try to add some more features inside it. Now we'll try to actually copy a index.html file inside the Docker container, and we will just launch it in as a web server, and we will check whether it's been copied properly or not. That is like here we're gonna learn two things. We are going to use a specific image, Apache image, and we are going to launch that image as a web server. Then we will be copying the HTML file inside the container. So let's directly move inside it. So before that, let's go to the Docker Hub and check on the Apache image, HTTPD. So here you can see all the instructions you need to add inside it. But here you want to know something. If you want to copy something, this is the path you need to actually copy it. If it's a conf file. For HTML file, I think it's HTTP docs. Yeah, htdocs. So this is the place where you need to copy the HTML files. So that is what we're gonna do it now. So we'll create one more folder so that it doesn't disturb the other. We can add it as HTML copy. Okay. Now again we're gonna create a Docker file. Okay. Now for this we need a image called HTTP PD, which is actually the Apache image. So from, excuse me, from HTTPD colon, you can take the version name. Currently, I will use the version 2.4. Okay. So before that, actually, we need to do few more things. We need to create the HTML file and we need to convert it as a tar file, and then only or we can directly copy it as a HTML file, but we need the HTML file first, right? So first we'll create the HTML file, then we will come back to this and we will edit it later. So we have this incomplete Docker file inside it. Along with this, we'll create one more index.html file. Nothing special. We are just going to test it. Body tag /body. Hello HTML from Ravi. Okay. Now we will again edit the Docker file, which is incomplete. So this is the image we require. Now next step, we will run the whatever commands we needed to execute. So here for copying, the keyword is actually none other than copy. Copy. And here we just put a dot because we are going to copy everything whatever here is here inside the htdocs path. Because obviously we have only the HTML file inside it, right? So we need not worry inside it. So as I told you, for HTML file, this is the path we needed to paste it. This is the path we needed to copy. All right, that's all. Now we'll directly save it and we'll build this image. So the keyword is, the command is docker build dot. This dot will actually see within the current folder for the Docker file. -t my web image colon. We can take the version as 1. Just build it. Okay, our build has been successfully done. Now we need to run it. All right. So now let's run the Docker container. Before that, let's check what is inside that index.html once again. So it is hi from RB. We have built the Docker container. Now we will try to run it. We have built the image. Docker run run my web image colon. The version was 1, right? Okay, so okay, one more thing. Here I will mention the port where the server needs to run. So if the argument for that is -p, so you can give 8080 as a mission port, colon 80 as the Docker container port. So now let's run it. Okay, now you can the port is open here. So let's check it. Yeah, it's hi from RV. That is what we got it earlier, right? Yes. So our index.html has been copied inside the container, and you can see the text body text in the server. I mean in the web URL. So now I guess we have successfully created a Docker file and we have copied it. Let's move to the next topic. Let me stop the port here. Okay. So the next thing is now we will do the same with one add command actually. Yeah. Actually, what is the difference between copy and add command is like both are the same. Actually, add will have a little bit more functionalities than the copy command. That is like it can actually parse a URL easier. That is like if you need a web server to launch the URL, and I mean like you need to actually launch a URL in the web server, add command would be the easiest way. So now let's try a similar scenario using the add command here. So I'm going to use the same files here. So I'm gonna go back. I'm going to create a folder called HTML add. HTML add. I'm going to copy the contents of HTML copy because we are going to just modify the file inside HTML add. Okay, now we'll go inside HTML add. Yeah, we have the Docker file and also we have the index.html. First, we will edit the index.html so that we can see the difference. Let me close the IP here. Yeah, index.html. Hi from EV under add. Hi from RV under add. Okay, now we will edit the. Before that, we will actually compress this file because we need to actually send the compressed file into the container. So the compression is czvf. We'll have it as web.tar.gz. This index.html. Let's check it out. Yes, we got that one. Now we will edit the Docker file. Now we are actually in the copy command. We just copied it, right? Here we will add it inside. Instead of copy, the command will be add. Sorry. Add. We're going to add only the zip file inside it, not the index.html. So we will give it directly web.tar.gz inside the htdocs. So now let's build one more image. Docker build dot hyphen t. We'll give the name as my web and we'll give the tag as 2. Now we will run it. Docker Docker run my web :2. We need to mention the port here. So the argument is -p 8080 :80. So the port will appear here. Yeah, hello, hi from RV under add. Now we have actually used the add command and we have executed it successfully. Now let's move with the other topic. So now I'm going to actually teach you one three commands: run, cmd, and entry point. Cmd obviously have used it earlier. That is like it will mention the steps which need to be proceeded after during the runtime, Docker runtime. But what is the difference between run, cmd, and entry point? The common difference is like run command will actually execute when we build the image, while building the image, and cmd and entry point will be executed once the container is started during the runtime. But the thing is like here, entry point actually will determine the main processes to run. That is the difference. Now we will take an example which will make you understand it in a better manner. Let me close this port actually. Okay, now we'll go back. We will create one more folder. We can have it as run, cmd execute rce. We'll go inside it. Now we will create the Docker file for that. Okay, so here I am going to actually use all the three commands in a single Docker file. So for that, I'm going to use the image called Alpine. From Alpine. I'm not going to mention the version or anything because it will by default will use the latest. So while building itself, I want this image to install Python 3 inside it. So for that, we need to use the run command because it needs to be run during the runtime, right? So run. For installing something, the command is add apk. And we'll mention what you need to install. That is none other than Python 3. Then I'm going to give some more procedures which needs to be added while the container is running. So I'll give the main process, which is none other than entry point. Entry point of, and the syntax for entry point is, it needs to be in the under the square bracket, and the command should be given within the double quotes. So entry point of, we'll do one thing. We'll actually have a ping. We'll do a ping test. Ping, and we'll have a count for argument for that. So -c, and we'll ping it 5 times. Okay, and what it needs to ping will come under the command argument, which we will give it here. So that also will give it in the same format. We'll ping just google.com here. Okay, now let's save it, and we'll build it. Docker run. Sorry, Docker, we need to build it right. Docker build dot -t, and the image tag name will give it as my rc : we'll give the version as 1, obviously. Okay, I made a mistake here. Actually, the command is not like this. It's run apk add, not add apk. That's what the issue is here. Okay, let's build it again. All right. Now it's installing the Python. Okay, done. Now let's run and see it so that you can test the other two commands, right? Docker run my RC colon 1. Okay, 1, 2. Yeah, it's pinging 5 times. All right. So now I guess you can understand the difference between the run command and entry point, right? Here, actually, you can give one more thing also. Instead, here command actually the parameter was given in the Docker file. Instead, you can give it here itself so that it will override the command. Yahoo.com. You can see it pings yahoo.com. So hope now you are clear with this particular topic. Now we will directly move the next topic here. Okay. Now the next one is actually let's see how to expose the port in the Docker file. We can actually use it here itself, or we'll create one more folder. That would be better. Expose. We'll go inside expose. Okay, we'll create a Docker file. We'll use Apache server as a HTTPD we'll give 2.4. And now to actually mention the containers port, we will use the expose command. Expose and the container port will be 80. Let me give it as 80. Now, or we'll give yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. Now let's build it. Docker build dot -t my expose colon 1. Okay, now let's run it. Docker run my expose colon 1. Okay, to check the port, we'll do it in detached mode. Docker run. Here I'll be adding one more condition called -d. Actually, this is called running in detached mode. Detached mode means it will run in the background. Then to see the containers, what and all is running, you can give Docker ps. You can see the container which is running is my expose colon 1. If you want to see all the containers which is present or available, Docker ps -a. Let's go back to Docker ps. So you can see here, the port is 80, whatever we have mentioned it in the Docker file. So I guess this is also clear. Now we'll learn some more topics inside it. That is like to run Docker in different paths. Okay, now we are inside the expose. Let's do a pwd to see current directory. So if I want to run some other image or build some other image, if I say Docker build, dot will indicate the current folder, right? So I will give /root I think we had something called we checked on with RCE, right? Let's try that. /root/RCE. So it will search for the Docker file in this particular path, and we'll give that target as my RCE, and version we will change it as 2. If you want to run it same way, you just run the image name. My RCE colon 2 is the version, right? Yeah, it is pinging the Google. So I guess this is understandable. So this is how you can run the Docker files in different paths. If you want to run the Docker file, which is under different name, because every time it will take the Docker file which starts with the particular conventional name, right? So for that, I'll just do it here itself. So cp Docker file, or okay, let's do it in the the new one itself. We'll do Docker file Ravi from HTTPD colon. We'll have 2.4. I think we no need to mention anything other than that because we are just going to check whether it's running. Okay, we'll give expose as different port. 90 will give this time. Expose, sorry. Expose 90. Now, see here. Now what you're gonna do is I'm going to build it as with the argument docker build -f. Docker file Ravi -t my expose with version 2. Okay. Here I need to give the dot symbol from where it is taking this file. Okay. Now if we run docker run my expose :2, I think the port will be automatically added here, or we'll see. Let's run it in detached mode. Docker ps. See, it has taken the 90 port. So now I guess you're understandable regarding this next topic on how we run Docker files with different Docker name. Actually, not only this, if we are giving right Docker build dot whatever Docker file in the current folder -t, and we are giving a tag name, right? Instead of this dot, you can actually provide some Git URLs wherever the Docker file is. That will also work out. Currently, I don't have it, so I couldn't show you, sorry. So these are the ways we can actually build it. And I just told you regarding all the container, or the list all the containers and list the running containers. Along with that, if you want to see the images, you can give Docker image ls. The images, whatever you have built. With the tag, you can get the details. Okay, now the tag name you are giving, right? I mean, like we are creating, providing the tag names. Actually, to name a container, actually you can give it in a runtime like this. Let us see it here. In the runtime itself, you can give it. So we can give Docker container run. We'll run it in detached mode. And the port is 8080. And here I will give the name of the container. We can give it in the runtime also. -- name is equal to web Ravi. And we'll give the image name HTTPD :2.4. This is how you can give it in the runtime. So if you say Docker ps, you can see it here. It's actually web Ravi. You can see the container name, because usually the container names will be for some random names which will be given. So you can give the container name here. You don't need to confuse. This is actually the tab name, whatever we give here. And this is the container name. Now we'll be moving with a little bit advanced topic to run the container in a detached mode. Okay, before that, I forgot to tell you one more thing. Mounting a volume. We'll finish that and then we can go with the next one. Volume mounting means it is like actually you're pushing a particular workspace inside the container. So that is what we'll let's try it now. So let me create a folder called volume. Okay, it's not there. Okay, now to create a volume, let's the same way, let's create it in the runtime itself like that. Docker container. Let's not use a Docker file now. We'll use do it in the runtime because we are just trying the volume argument, right? Docker container run, and we'll mention the port now. -p will make it as 8080:80 container port, and here we will mention the volume -v. I will mount the RC volume inside it, slash. The path was, I think we already did a PWD, no, slash root, and I'll mount the RC folder inside the container folder. Always remember it. The logic is source : destination. So I think for this Apache, we already know the path we saw in the documentation, right? We will do it same way. Using this, we can actually will mount it inside, and we will mention the image name httpd : the version name is 2.4. Okay, 480 is already allocated. We will take 1990, or we'll take 9000. Okay. Now we need to actually see whether it has been mounted inside that or not, right? So I will tell you one logic. First, we will run it in detached mode. Then we'll do a Docker PS. So I guess this is the one. Now we will use Docker execute command, and we can actually go inside the container. Docker execute command. Docker execute command. Exec is the keyword. I can't copy paste it here, so kindly adjust. I will manually type it. C1480F. And here for this execute command, we need to actually mention one specific argument. It is -it. -I. Okay, there was a server refresh. Let's go Docker execute -it 9CAFF 5C1480F. And what type of commands you can execute it here? Obviously Linux commands, so /bin/bash. Okay, now you are inside the Apache 2 path. So what path I actually mounted? Inside ht2 docs, our folder should be there. Let's see. So here cd ht docs. You see here, the RC Docker file has actually been mounted inside it. So we have successfully mounted it inside using the -v argument. I guess now it is clear. Let's move the other topic. So we can execute it using the exit command. So let's now try to see how we can actually rename a particular tag. Let's see. Docker images ls. Image ls will give the list of images. So you can see the name for my_rc:1 is my_rc is a image name with tag 1. Now we can actually rename it. For that, the command is docker tag my_rc:1 is the old name. I will rename it as my_rc Ravi:1. Now you do docker images ls image ls, sorry. You see, it's renamed. The existing same container ID, image ID, you could see it here. So now I guess you can understand how to rename it. Now let's actually see how to actually push some images inside the Docker Hub repository. So let's go inside Docker Hub. So you need to actually create a basic account by signing in and logging in inside. I have already logged in, so I can see it here. In the same way, you can also see. So now I will create one repository name. My tutorial. Now I will push some Docker files inside it. I created the repository. My tutorial. Create. So the image name is Ravi123/my tutorial. So now we will rename the tag in the same way and we will push it. Let me show you how. Now, Docker login. First, we need to log in into the Docker repository. Okay, so I have logged in inside. Now I will push it. Let me actually first rename a tag as I told you. So you know or we'll build it from scratch. That is also fine. So CD, we'll go into RCE. Oh, we are inside volume. CDs dot CDs RC. Okay, again. CDs RC. Okay, so Docker build .-t my web RCE :1. Now let's try to rename it in the same way. Docker tag my web RCE:1. What is the name? Ravi123/my tutorial. Now the next thing, how you can push it, Docker image push with the new name. Docker image push with the new name. Okay, now it's getting pushed. Let's see. All right. So let's refresh this and see. I think the Docker file will be added. Yeah, it will by default will add the later. This is very convenient form. That is like once people update it, it will actually update the latest file. So you can pull the latest image. See, our Docker file is actually inside it. All right. So now we have successfully learned how to push the images in the Docker file. Now we will learn one more important topic on layers. We'll go a bit backward. We create a folder called layers. Now I'll tell you what is the advantage of creating this layers actually. Actually, when you take a Docker file, all the individual commands actually run as layer by layer. So now I'm going to create one Docker file inside it. Let me show you. So I'm just going to copy paste the commands inside it. Okay. One minute. I think the keys are messy here. Will again, I think the space is not a problem, but still we'll follow the, yeah, that's not a problem. So we can directly try it. So let's see, Docker build dot hyphen t my layer colon 1. Okay, now it is building. Okay, now let's see the size of the image here. Docker image ls. My layer 459 MB, which is quite a large one because we know that it actually every command is run layer by layer. Now let's try to see how we can actually reduce this size. Now I'm going to make some modifications on it. I'm going to combine all the run commands as a single one so that it can actually act as a single layer. So let me make it as fast enough as possible. Okay, so yeah, one more last line. All right. So let's try to run this and see, and let's build it as a second image. My layer version 2. You can see that it has now taken as a single command only because we have combined it using the operator. All right. Now let's see the image, Docker image ls. So you can see that the size has actually reduced from 459 to 454, which is not a bigger difference, but still, actually, we are able to reduce 5 MB by combining the layers. This is the advantage of combining the layers. So these are one of the certain techniques which we can actually use, and we can use it in the production to reduce the size. So not only this, we can actually, I'm going to teach you one more topic on Docker export and import, which all right. Okay. So let me extract the container ID from that. My layer code. This is our container ID. Okay, let me copy it and keep it first so that I don't forget it. 9473092 C001 A. Okay, I have noted down the container ID. Now let me show you how to use a Docker container export and import to reduce its size. Docker export container ID, and we are adding it under export dot tar. Let's see. Yeah, the export dot tar is in the current folder. Now we are going to use the Docker import to actually create the layer. Now first we will cap the values present inside tar. Then simultaneously, whatever value will be present inside will be used under Docker comport to create a new image. Docker import hyphen will take my layer :3. Okay, let's see the Docker image ls. Now you can see here my layer :3 is 405, literally 50 MB is reduced. So now I guess you can clearly understand the Docker export and import method to reduce the size, right? So mostly these are the topics actually is being actually used in the entry level for a professional or any beginner, starting from basic topics to advanced. So hope this tutorial was completely useful. And if you have any comments, or if you want me to teach some specific advanced topic in Docker, you could put it in the comment section. So thank you so much. Have a great day.